Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, you're going to be listening to a hypnosis session created for a client that wanted to give up smoking, but wanted to give up smoking mainly as a way of ensuring that she would be around for her children. And this was partly linked to a personal experience involving her father. So she knew what it was like to grow up without a significant parent. My job as a therapist is to utilize whatever emotional leverage I can to facilitate a positive, empowering change. So what you're going to hear in this hypnosis session is two key things. Regression to a time where a belief was formed that this individual felt that they weren't good enough. And I use an analogy of white swans and black swans, that actually having additional evidence of a belief doesn't necessarily make a belief stronger if just one example of the counter belief is enough to discredit. So the belief that all swans are white only needs to be disproven by seeing one black swan. So the belief that I'm not good enough only has to be discredited with one belief of an area of their life where they are in fact more than good enough. And therefore, you can't have both things that apply. You can't believe that all swans are white if you've also seen a black swan. So that's utilized at the early part of the hypnosis session. But then in the second part of the hypnosis session, you've got two different timelines, a future where she's not around because she dies of some kind of smoking-related illness and her children grow up without her. That's designed to create the emotional pain, the emotional leverage to consider what would it be like to become a non-smoker and then make sure that she is there to love and protect her children. Not all of this is going to be relevant if you're listening and you don't have children, or maybe you want to quit smoking for a different reason. In which case, there are lots of other hypnosis sessions that I've done on smoking cessation that might be more useful for you. But if you are a smoker, it's worth knowing that normally smokers tend to live about 10 to 15 years less than a non-smoker. So you could just replace children with grandchildren, for example, and what you would miss out on to see if we can create a sufficient emotional leverage in your life for you to become a non-smoker, if that's what you would choose to do. If you want something a bit more customized, then of course you can click a link in the show notes to schedule a free consultation call to explore working with me directly. But if you do feel that you want to be a non-smoker because of how it might help other people, treating giving up smoking as an act of love or protection, then you might find that this session will be useful for you, in which case, ideal thing to do is to find a nice quiet place where you won't be disturbed, to relax and to enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in, just imagine breathing in a resourceful feeling of relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow any feelings of tension, stress or worries to start leaving your body in your outward breath. want you to feel any clues of tension around your eyebrows, eyelids, or around the eyes. As you listen to my voice, as you breathe in and breathe out, allow the breathing to slow down. But as you breathe in, imagine breathing in a warm, resourceful feeling of relaxation, and start imagining any tension around your eyes or eyebrows or eyelids as tiny crystals of ice. So as you breathe in and breathe out, you can start to imagine that tension just melting away. And as the tension melts away, just imagine that the tension is evaporating, and in your outward breath, you can imagine that tension leaving your body. So just by breathing in and breathing out, not only are you becoming more and more relaxed, but you continue to feel more and more resourceful. It's not just relaxation that you're breathing in. Inner strength, self-belief, positivity, but most of all, gratitude is something you're breathing in. The easiest thing in the world to do is to focus on those things that aren't right. The problems, the issues, the things you'd like to change. But in doing so, it's too easy to forget all those wonderful things that there are to appreciate and be grateful for. As you breathe in and breathe out, notice the thoughts that come to mind when you think of those things in your life you're most grateful for. Maybe people, knowledge, attributes you have, things that you would miss if they were gone. As you breathe in that feeling of gratitude, get the growing sense that it's displacing any other emotions. I want you to create a picture of a bathtub full of water. But if you were to put something heavy, like a big bag, in that same bath water, the water would overflow. So as you breathe in that optimism, gratitude, positivity, self-belief, self-worth, it is displacing any anxiety, any tension, any stress, any worries. Just feel like there's no room for it as it's leaving your body now. I want you to use the power of your imagination to picture an island in the Bahamas with a luxurious hotel. You can almost imagine it like you're seeing it from above, like you're an eagle swooping over this island, seeing this hotel, seeing the beaches, seeing a water park, the slides, the crystal clear waters of the Caribbean. And I want you to imagine that there is a suite in this hotel where you have a view of the pool, the slides, but also a sandy beach with white sand. And I want you to imagine that you're no longer looking at this hotel through the eyes of a bird. I want you to imagine you're now looking out on the beach and the pool from the window of a suite in this hotel. You can see the brightness of the blue sky, but you can also feel how relaxed you would feel if you were away from it all. far away, all the way there in the middle of the Caribbean. And in this hotel room, I want you to imagine there's a comfortable bed, but before you go on that comfortable bed, I want you to imagine seeing yourself 2 years in the future. You're looking out through a glass window, seeing a version of you playing with one of your daughters in the water park. Notice how happy you look, how smiley you look, but also how healthy you look 2 years from now, playing with your daughter in a water park. And then as you look to the left or the right, see a beach. There is another version of you, maybe 3 or 4 years into the future, looking healthy, happy, vibrant, playing with a different daughter there on the beach. As you get a growing sense that you are on the cusp of a wonderful future with lots of happy memories, positive experiences. But for now, I want you to move to the bed in this luxury hotel room. Feel how soft the bedding is, the duvet. And imagine feeling the weight of your head on a pillow. Maybe a cool breeze of that air conditioning unit. As you breathe in and breathe out, I want you to imagine that I'm going to count down from 10 to 1. And you're going to imagine drifting off into a deep sleep within your imagination so we can explore time, the past, the present, and the future. And while the past is the past, you can have different ways of perceiving the past. To learn the lessons of the past, to empower you for a more positive future. Whereas the future is infinite possibilities. Anyone can make a decision in a moment that radically changes the possible futures. Futures are just infinite probabilities and possibilities that increase or decrease depending on the choices you make. So as you feel the weight of your arms and legs on that bed, I'll count down from 10 to 1 and you'll feel deeper and deeper relaxed. 10. Eyelids feeling heavier and heavier. That's it. 9. Just release any tension in your jaw. That's it. 8. As you breathe in through your nose, feel your chest rising, your diaphragm expanding, and as you exhale, feel that tension leave your body. That's it. 8 goes to 7. Just feel your neck loosening, letting go of any tension, letting it all melt away. That's it. 7 goes to 6. Arms feeling limp, loose, heavy, just like the limbs of a puppet with no strings. As you breathe in, 5, just feel your lungs, stomach, heart, all releasing any tension. 4, going down into your gut, releasing any anxiety. 3, going into your legs. Legs now feeling limp, loose, heavy, just like those arms that feel like the limbs of a puppet. Legs feeling limp, loose, heavy. That's it. 3 and then 2. Just imagine eyelids feeling heavier and heavier and heavier. So you're able to drift off only in your own imagination, to go back in time. 2 and then 1, back in time to your first memory of not feeling good enough. Just imagine floating all the way back in time to that time where you, for the first time, made an incorrect evaluation of not being good enough. And when you can see that memory, like you're seeing maybe a small girl or a young woman, just let me know by nodding your head. That's it. And I want you to observe what you're observing, maybe criticism, maybe a comparison that you're making, but with everything that you now know. And realize that back then, you added 1 + 1 to equal 3. The evaluation was nearly correct, but not quite. But if there was an evaluation of not being good enough, were you good enough to walk? Were you good enough to talk or speak? Good enough to read? I want you to accept that any belief that you weren't good enough was false. It was false because you focused on the evidence to prove that your false belief was real, except it wasn't. I want you to imagine that someone only believes that swans are white. And because the majority of swans are white, every time they see a white swan, they say, look, all swans are white. The generalization comes from all, until one day they hear someone else say that they saw a black swan. Of course, they don't believe it because they haven't seen the black swan. They can believe that all swans are white because that's what they've seen. Until one day they do see a black swan. And notice how difficult it would be to believe that all swans are white just by seeing one black swan. And therefore, if you have one piece of evidence in your life that you are good enough, that's simply enough for this house of cards to come toppling down, that you believe that you're not good enough. Because the two beliefs that you're not good enough and good enough once can't both be simultaneously true. It can't be true that all swans are white if there is also a black swan. Allow your mind to update from that point onwards the belief that you're not good enough to a new belief. That there are certain things that you could do better, which is a very different belief. Just because you could do better at something doesn't mean you're not good enough. And I want you to imagine now following your timeline to the very first time that you smoked. Maybe a teenager, maybe in your early 20s. And just observe that originally it was harmless, just the odd one every now and then, until it wasn't. Until there was a time where it was no longer something social. It was something you did for curing boredom or stress or anxiety. But it wasn't the only thing that did that. It was just the thing that you could do instantly to give you a feeling of control when there was feelings in your life of not being in control. And follow your life all the way up to the point where you were pregnant for the first time, and notice how easy it was for you to stop smoking because you valued someone else's life more than your own. Most people, most responsible parents would say, If they had to choose between their life and the life of their child or children, they would sacrifice their life for their children's. Most people would say they would die for their children. But I wonder if you would live for them. I want you to think of what you did back then to make you have no desire to smoke even when you wanted to. You thought of the harm or damage to another living being. And the moment you evaluated that you could create distance from your choice and their consequences, you started again. And follow that life all the way until you were pregnant again, and notice how easy it was for you to stop. Until you evaluated that you could smoke and they could be safe, and you continued. But I want you to go all the way back in time. All the way back in time to when someone you loved very much died, perhaps because they were smoking for most of their life. I want you to imagine how it would have felt if you discovered the body. A feeling of shock, loss, grief, everything all at once. Hold on to that thought and then move back to following your life, where you started smoking more and more to deal with more stress, more unpredictability, giving you a false feeling of connection and control, all the way back. And I want you to imagine following your life into the future, where you continue to smoke to deal with stress and boredom, to give you an illusion of control even when you weren't in control. And I want you to see, perhaps in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, something happens. There is an unexpected, massive heart attack in a future version of you directly linked to your smoking. I want you to observe as your daughters discover your body. They don't know what to do. They're worried, they're stressed, but more importantly, from that point onwards, you're no longer there to love them and protect them. And I want you to follow their future until adulthood without you being there. Not things that would definitely happen, but just things that could happen that you wouldn't want to happen because you weren't there to love and protect them. What memories would they miss out on? What friendships might become eroded? What would be the health consequences, the emotional consequences? What might be their own relationship consequences? As you imagine that future, I want you to imagine seeing not just one or two, but several things to create an increasing desire for you to be a non-smoker, so that you can be there to love and protect your children. And when you feel like you've seen enough to make it the easiest decision in the world, just like it was when you were pregnant, let me know by nodding your head. Imagine painful things, unpleasant things that wouldn't have happened or would be less likely to happen if you were there to protect them. And when you're ready to entertain a different future, a future where you being a non-smoker is a simultaneous act of love and defiance, let me know by nodding your head. That's it. I want you to imagine returning to the present and feeling what it would feel like deciding on a specific date, a specific time where you are a non-smoker. I want you to imagine seeing yourself over the next few days preparing to be a non-smoker, getting rid of ashtrays, lighters, cleaning clothes or cars that might have a smell. There is a line in the sand, a date in the calendar. You are a non-smoker from that point onwards. And when you're ready to observe that future, let me know by nodding your head. That's it. See it leading all the way up to that day. And then notice that this version of you, from that point onwards, knows that you would do other things to deal with boredom, stress, or anxiety. Maybe breathe and just meditate for a minute or so. If it's inside the home, you would cook, prepare food, do something nice. Or perhaps if it's in a work environment, maybe just leave your place of work, go outside for a few moments, breathe differently, and maybe just play a game for a minute or two. There are other ways to deal with stress, anxiety, and boredom that don't involve cigarettes or smoking at all. And I want you to see for the first 2 weeks of you being a non-smoker that that's what you do. See yourself drinking lots of water. See yourself deciding to make delicious meals every day. Having the right apps or games on your phone that if you get cravings, you can just funnel those cravings into a different form of stimulation. And then notice that after 2 weeks, you don't seem bothered. After 2 months, it feels like it's a different version of you that was a smoker in the past, but you're certainly not a smoker anymore. Imagine someone offering you a cigarette and observe how easy it is for you to say, no thanks. There is no desire to smoke because smoking represents something new, something different. If you had to make a choice between your daughters or the next cigarette, you would never choose a cigarette over your daughters. Therefore, the idea of smoking will create a vivid, visceral image in your mind's eye of your daughters living a life without you, making it so easy for you to choose not to smoke. Because in choosing not to smoke, it's an expression of love, but also an expression of defiance for whoever would benefit if you weren't around. I want you to follow that version of you into a possible future. You're looking healthier, happier, more confident, able to use other ways of dealing with stress and boredom and anxiety. And follow that all the way into the future until you find yourself playing on a beach with your daughter, feeling healthy, and then playing in a pool with a different daughter, feeling energetic. And then imagine taking both daughters into a hotel, going up to a luxury hotel room. And as you walk in, you see yourself lying there on a bed, fast asleep all that time. I want you to imagine hugging your daughters, letting them know that you will never choose cigarettes over them. Make a promise to them, a promise that you will never break. And when you've made that promise, let me know by nodding your head. And when you've made the promise and they've accepted the promise, Give them one final hug. Step into your body, lying there in that bed, feeling like you're integrating with yourself, and then recall that there is no bed. These are just thoughts within thoughts, ideas within ideas, dreams within dreams, and actually, you're in the present listening to my voice as you take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, as very soon I will count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. You will awaken feeling worthy, feeling confident, full of self-esteem, looking forward to preparing to be a non-smoker and choosing to be a non-smoker as the ultimate expression of love and protection for your daughters. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.